All right, let's talk about something that might hit a little close to home. It's about the modern workplace and that kind of nagging feeling that a lot of what we do all day doesn't really matter. We're going to dive deep into the rise of the pointless job. So let's just start with you. What do you do for a living? And I'm not asking for your job title. I mean, what do you actually do? What do you create? What do you improve? What's your real, tangible contribution? For some people, that's an easy question. But for others, the ones who spend their days in meetings about meetings or writing reports that maybe, just maybe, no one ever reads, it can be a little harder to pin down. A huge piece of this puzzle is just this massive shift in our economy. 100 years ago, less than a quarter of all jobs were in the service sector. Today, that number's exploded to nearly 80%. And when we say service jobs, it's easy to picture baristas or cashiers. But the reality is, this umbrella covers pretty much everything else. Financial analysts, marketing managers, HR consultants, even CEOs. It's the very engine of the modern white-collar world. And this huge pivot to a service economy, well, it brings us face to face with a central paradox, a real head-scratcher that sits right at the heart of our modern economic system. It's a simple question, right? In theory, the free market is supposed to be this lean, mean, efficient machine. It should just naturally get rid of useless jobs. I mean, if a company is paying a salary for zero output, they should fail, right? But that's not what's happening. In fact, these kinds of jobs seem to be growing. So why? So to really get to the bottom of this, we need a way to think about these jobs, to categorize them. And lucky for us, the anthropologist David Graeber came up with a pretty brilliant framework that breaks all this pointless work down into 5 basic types. Okay, so here are Graeber's 5 archetypes. You've got your flunkies, your duct tapers, box tickers, goons, and finally taskmasters. Now, as we go through these, just see if any of them sound a little familiar. You'll probably recognize a few. First on the list, flunkies. These are jobs that exist pretty much just to make somebody else look or feel important. Think about a doorman who could easily be replaced by an automatic door, or an assistant who's really only there to show off how important their boss is. Their whole role isn't about getting stuff done, it's about signaling status. All right, next are the duct tapers, and this one's fascinating. These are the people whose entire job is to patch up a problem that absolutely could and really should be fixed for good. Graeber tells this amazing story about a guy whose only job was to secretly go in and fix all the mistakes made by this supposedly brilliant but totally incompetent statistician. See, the problem wasn't the duct taper himself, it was the broken system that needed patching. Then you have the box tickers. Oh, the box tickers. These are the people who exist so a company can say it's doing something. Like the team that writes the internal company newsletter that absolutely nobody reads. It's there so the company can check a box and say, yep, we have an internal newsletter, making it seem all official, even if the thing itself has zero actual impact. Okay, next, a category Graeber gave the excellent name of goons. These are jobs that often have an aggressive, competitive element, and they only exist because the other guys have them too. A perfect example? Corporate lawyers. They don't actually produce anything of value, but if you don't have them, you'll just get eaten alive by lawsuits from companies that do. And here's the best illustration. Apple famously sued Samsung over a patent for, get this, a rectangular phone with rounded corners. Just think about the thousands of people whose entire full-time job was to fight that battle. And last, but not least, we have the taskmasters. These are the folks who are masters of inventing pointless tasks for other people to do. They fill up your calendar with meetings that could have been an email, and they generate these long, winding, strategic mission statements that really only succeed in pulling everyone else away from work that might actually be meaningful. And here's the thing. It's really important to remember that these categories aren't set in stone. A single pointless job can be a weird mashup of all 5. You could have a middle manager who's a taskmaster to their own team, but also a flunky to their boss, hired just to make the department seem bigger and more powerful. But this still doesn't really answer the big question, does it? How did our supposedly super efficient system end up creating so much useless work? Well, the answer might actually be found by looking at a completely different kind of economy. So, believe it or not, there are some strange parallels with the old Soviet Union. In Soviet factories, managers would hoard workers they didn't even need just to make their departments look important and hit state quotas. Now, is that really so different from a modern manager fighting for a bigger headcount just for status? It's kind of striking. The Soviets had state propaganda to glorify labor. We have LinkedIn self-promotion. They were obsessed with full employment. We are obsessed with the 40-hour work week, even if there are only 15 hours of actual work to do. And if that wasn't enough, just look at the layers and layers of bureaucracy we've built. If you want to build anything, you have to navigate zoning laws, insurance requirements, international tariffs, and then corporate lobbying goes and creates even more complex rules. All of this complexity requires entire teams of people, lawyers, accountants, compliance officers, whose job isn't to create anything new, but just to navigate the bureaucratic maze we've built for ourselves. So, if we're all kind of caught in this machine that just keeps creating more and more pointlessness, is there a way out? I mean, what can we even do? Well, on a huge societal level, maybe the answer is to just let go of the 40-hour work week. If it became okay to say, hey, my work is done, I'm going home, we'd see pretty quickly who's actually contributing. Now, on an individual level, the options are a bit more personal. You could start a side hustle, something you control, that's free from all this. Or you could just learn to embrace it. Recognize the pointless tasks for what they are, do them, and save your real energy for the parts of your life that actually matter to you. And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to chew on. If you finished all of your truly necessary tasks for the day by, say, 2 p.m., would you feel comfortable just packing up and going home? Your answer might tell you everything you need to know.